The kingdom of empty pockets. Once upon a time, in a quiet valley surrounded by silver mountains, there stood a fading little kingdom called Aldervale. It was once a land of song and laughter, but now its streets echoed only with the sound of wind whistling through broken windows. The people had grown poor. The gold in the royal treasury had long turned to dust, and the bells of joy that once rang in Aldervale had fallen silent. But among its people lived two brothers, Elior and Rowen. They weren't princes. They were just the sons of an old tailor who had mended the king's robes in better days. Their father had passed away, leaving behind nothing but a rusty pair of scissors and an empty sewing box. Yet the brothers kept his little shop open, patching worn cloaks, sewing torn sleeves, and dreaming that one day their hard work might bring light back into the town. Elior was the elder, calm, clever, and gentle-spoken. His hands could turn a rag into something beautiful. Rowen, the younger one, was full of laughter and dreams. He often hummed while working and believed that life always had something good waiting just around the corner. But fate had other plans. One stormy night, the brothers lost everything. A fire swept through their tiny shop. The fabrics, the threads, the scissors, all turned to ash. When the smoke cleared, all they had left were the clothes on their backs and a half-burnt needle Elior kept as a memory of their father. That night, sitting under the cold stars, Rowen whispered, "Brother, maybe this is the end for us." Elior looked up, his voice steady but soft. "No, Rowen. It's never the end until we stop believing it can be a beginning." The next morning, with hearts full of courage and pockets full of nothing, they left Aldervale in search of work. They walked through forests, crossed rivers, and slept under trees. Days turned into weeks, and their shoes wore thin. Then, one afternoon, they reached a grand castle shimmering under the golden sun. The castle of Evermere. There, banners fluttered, and the sound of trumpets filled the air. A royal notice was pinned to the gate. It read, "The king seeks helpers for the princess's wedding. Rewards and meals will be given. Only the brave and kind may enter." Rowen's eyes sparkled. "Brother, let's go in. We can work, earn, maybe even rebuild our shop someday." The girl behind the veil. The castle of Evermere stood tall like a dream carved from marble and sunlight. Its gates shimmered, guarded by men in golden armor, their faces stern but weary. Elior and Rowen stepped forward, two poor brothers, clothes torn, shoes cracked, hearts trembling yet brave. The guard frowned at them. "You two? Helpers for the royal wedding?" Rowen, still full of hope, bowed low. "We may be poor, sir, but our hands know hard work and our hearts hold honesty. Isn't that what a king values most?" The guard studied him for a long moment, then sighed and opened the gate. "Fine. You'll work in the royal sewing hall. The princess's gowns are not yet finished. Go quickly. Her wedding is near inside." The castle buzzed like a hive. Servants hurried through halls scented with roses and candle wax. The air was alive with music. Yet beneath the beauty, something felt heavy, almost sorrowful. Elior and Rowen began their work among dozens of tailors. They stitched silks and embroidered stars into the princess's wedding gown. Elior's hands moved like poetry. Rowen's laughter filled the room like sunlight. Days passed, until one evening, when Elior was working alone by candlelight, someone entered quietly. A soft voice asked, "You sew as if you're mending more than cloth." Elior turned. A girl stood there, hidden behind a delicate silver veil. Her eyes, deep and sad, shone brighter than any jewel he had ever seen. He rose and bowed. "Forgive me, my lady. I didn't hear you come in." She smiled faintly. "Few do. People rarely notice the quiet ones." Elior's heart trembled. "Are you the princess?" The girl looked away. "They call me Princess Eveline, but inside, I feel like a prisoner wrapped in silk." Her words pierced him. "A prisoner?" he asked gently. "Yes," she whispered. My father wants me to marry a prince from the north, a man I barely know. He says it will save our kingdom from ruin, but my heart doesn't know how to love on command." Elior said nothing, only looked into her eyes. There was loneliness there, the same kind that had followed him through every sleepless night since his shop burned down. That night, he stitched the gown slower, each thread carrying her sadness. The next morning, Rowen found him silent, staring at the dawn. "Brother," Rowen teased softly, "you've been quiet since last night. Don't tell me the royal halls have stolen your heart." Elior looked away, smiling faintly. "Maybe they've just reminded me what a heart sounds like." Rowen laughed, shaking his head. "Be careful, brother. Hearts are fragile, and castles are cruel. But fate was already weaving its next thread." That evening, a messenger burst into the sewing hall, his face pale. "The princess has vanished!" Gasps filled the room. The gown lay unfinished, her veil missing. The king was furious. He declared, "Whoever finds the princess and brings her safely home shall have half my kingdom and her hand in marriage." The hall erupted in whispers. Some rushed to pack, others trembled in fear. Rowen grabbed his brother's arm. "Elior, we must go. Maybe she's in danger." Elior's heart pounded. He looked at the half-sewn gown, the one he had stitched with quiet love and silent hope. He whispered, "She's not lost, Rowen. She's running from a cage." Rowen frowned. "Then let's help her find freedom, not just bring her back." And so, under the pale moonlight, the two bankrupt brothers set out once more, not for gold, not for reward, but for something far greater: kindness, courage, and a love that asked for nothing in return. The forest of forgotten dreams. The night sky wept silver rain as Elior and Rowen left the castle gates. The world around them was quiet, except for the sound of their footsteps sinking into the wet earth. They didn't know where Princess Eveline had gone, only that her heart had whispered for freedom, and somehow Elior could still feel her sadness in every drop of rain. Rowen carried a small lantern. Elior carried the half-burnt needle, his father's memory, his only lucky charm. Together they followed a narrow path that led into the forest of forgotten dreams, a place people spoke of in frightened whispers. Old tales said the forest was alive, that it could sense hearts weighed down by sorrow and show them what they had lost. But neither brother hesitated. "If she's afraid," Elior said softly, "then she shouldn't face that fear alone. And if she's lost," Rowen added, "we'll bring her light." The forest greeted them with mist and shadows. Trees twisted like ancient guardians, their branches dripping with silver dew. Fireflies glowed faintly, like memories refusing to fade. As they walked deeper, strange whispers surrounded them, voices of those who had entered before and never returned. "Go back," they sighed. "Dreams belong to those who dare not wake." Rowen shivered but tightened his grip on the lantern. Dreams can be frightening, but so is a world without them. And suddenly, a flicker of light ahead. They hurried toward it, and there, beneath an old willow tree, they saw a girl in a torn white gown, her veil gone, her hair tangled with leaves. It was Princess Eveline. She was crying, softly like someone who had forgotten how to hope. Elior knelt beside her. "Princess, we've been searching for you." She lifted her tear-streaked face. "Why? To take me back to my prison?" "No," Elior said quietly. "To take you where your heart feels free." Her eyes widened. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not her father, not the prince she was forced to marry. Only this poor tailor, who looked at her not as a prize, but as a person. "I thought if I ran far enough the pain would fade," she whispered. "But it followed me, just like the shadow of my crown." Elior smiled gently. "Then let's not run from it. Let's walk through it, together." Rowen knelt beside her too, wrapping his worn cloak around her shoulders. "Forgive us for coming uninvited, Princess. But no one deserves to face the dark alone." For a long moment, the three of them sat in silence under the willow, just breathing, listening to the soft rain. And then something strange happened. The ground beneath them shimmered faintly, like starlight dancing on water. The willow leaves began to glow, and a voice whispered through the air. "The forest knows kindness. The forest remembers courage." Elior looked up in awe. "Do you hear that?" "Yes," Eveline whispered. "They say the forest shows true hearts what they need most." The mist parted slowly, revealing a path, glowing softly, leading deeper into the woods. Rowen stood, smiling with wonder. "Well then, perhaps destiny just invited us for a walk." So the three of them followed the glowing path, step by step, heart by heart, into the heart of the forest of forgotten dreams. They didn't yet know what awaited them there, but for the first time in a long time the princess smiled, not because she was free, but because she was finally seen. The mirror of the heart. The forest grew quieter the deeper they walked. The glowing path faded behind them, and the only light came from Rowen's flickering lantern. Each step echoed softly, like the heartbeat of a dream. Eveline walked between the brothers, wrapped in Rowen's cloak. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes were steady now, filled with something new, trust. "This forest," she whispered, "it feels alive, as if it's listening." "Maybe it is," Rowen said softly. "Maybe it listens to those who still believe in hope." A soft wind passed through the trees, gentle, almost tender, and with it came a faint melody, like someone singing from far away. Elior stopped. "Do you hear that?" They followed the sound until they reached a small clearing bathed in silver moonlight. In the center stood a crystal pool so clear that it reflected not just their faces, but something deeper, their fears, their memories, their hearts. As they stepped closer, the water rippled, and from it rose a faint, shimmering figure, neither man nor woman, but something ancient, with eyes that glowed like starlight. The spirit spoke in a voice that was both thunder and whisper. "Who dares enter the heart of forgotten dreams?" Elior bowed his head. "We seek no harm, spirit, only peace, for a heart that's been caged too long." The spirit's gaze turned to Eveline. "Princess Eveline of Evermere, your heart runs from duty, yet aches for truth. Tell me, what do you truly desire?" Eveline's voice trembled. "I want to choose my own life, to love without chains, to be kind without being called weak, to breathe without asking permission." The spirit nodded slowly, then turned to Elior. "And you, poor tailor, what do you seek?" Elior hesitated. He looked at the princess, at her courage, her sorrow, her light. "I seek nothing for myself," he said softly. "Only that she finds what she deserves, freedom and joy." The spirit's eyes softened. "A heart that asks for nothing is the rarest of all." Then it faced Rowen. "And you, the laughing brother?" Rowen smiled nervously. "I just want to see my brother happy." "He's carried sadness for too long. Maybe he deserves a miracle." The spirit's glow brightened. "Then listen, all three of you. The forest will show you the truth, not through words, but through mirrors." With a wave of its hand, the pool began to shift. 3 reflections appeared, one for each of them. Elior saw himself sitting alone in the ashes of their burnt shop, tears on his face. The mirror whispered, "You give, but never let yourself be loved." Rowen saw his own reflection laughing, but behind the smile was emptiness. "You hide your fear behind joy." And Eveline saw herself wearing the crown, surrounded by gold, but her eyes were cold and hollow. "You have everything, yet nothing you can call your own." Tears welled in Eveline's eyes. "Is this what I am meant to be?" The spirit's voice softened. "Not meant to be, choose to be. Only courage can rewrite destiny." Then, slowly, the light faded, and the forest fell silent again. But something had changed within them. Elior turned to Eveline and gently wiped a tear from her cheek. "Maybe the forest wanted us to see what's missing so we can fill it with something real." "And what is real?" she asked softly. He smiled. "Kindness, courage, and love, the kind that asks for nothing but truth." Eveline's heart fluttered. For the first time, she didn't feel like a princess. She felt human. The wind stirred again, carrying petals through the clearing, and for that brief moment it felt as if the forest itself smiled. But in the distance, faintly, like a warning, came the sound of horns. The king's guards had entered the woods. Rowan's face grew pale. "They're coming for her!" Elior clenched his jaw. The cost of courage. The night roared with chaos. Torches flickered through the trees, shadows chased shadows, and the cries of men echoed across the forest. Elior ran faster than he ever had before, calling out, "Rowan! Rowan, where are you?" Then, through the smoke and light, he saw him. Rowan stood before the king's guards, his lantern shattered, his clothes torn, yet his eyes burned bright with defiance. "You'll not touch them," Rowan shouted. "If you want the princess, you'll have to go through me." The captain sneered. "A tailor's boy standing against the crown? You're brave or foolish." Rowan smiled weakly. "Maybe both." And before the swords could strike, Elior leapt in front of him, blocking the blow with nothing but his bare arms. The steel grazed him, a shallow wound, but his eyes stayed firm. "Enough!" Elior cried. "We mean no harm." The princess came here of her own will. She ran because her heart was breaking. The guards hesitated. For a moment, doubt flickered in their eyes, but then a deep, commanding voice filled the clearing. "The King of Evermere."
He lowered his hands slowly. "No," he whispered. "Enough blood has been spilled in the name of duty." Then, to everyone's astonishment, he turned to his daughter. "Eveline, if this tailor's heart is the one that makes yours beat, then let it be so. I will not stand in the way." Tears filled Eveline's eyes as she ran to her father, embracing him. "Thank you, Father. Thank you for finally hearing me." Rowan laughed, tired, breathless. "See, brother, sometimes courage costs a little fear, but buys a miracle." Elior smiled through his tears. "No, Rowan, it buys love." Weeks later, the forest bloomed again. The kingdom of Evermere healed, and the two brothers, once bankrupt in gold, became rich in heart. Elior and Princess Eveline rebuilt the tailor's shop at the castle's edge, where no one was turned away, rich or poor, noble or peasant. And Rowan, ever the wanderer, took his lantern and set off into the world to find more dreams worth saving, he said with a grin. Every night, Elior and Eveline stood beneath the stars, remembering the night that had changed everything. "Do you still believe in promises?" Eveline would ask. "Always," Elior would whisper, "because love, courage, and kindness, those are the only riches that never fade." And far away, somewhere beyond the silver hills, a single lantern glowed in the dark, a brother's light, still keeping watch. Sparkle's moral of the story: true courage is not in fighting with swords, but in standing for what your heart knows is right. Kindness may seem small, but it can change even the hardest of hearts. And love, when given freely, is the richest treasure of all. Dizzy the End, Dizzy title. I fell in love with Bankrupt Brothers, a bedtime fairy tale moral. Love, courage, and kindness never go bankrupt.